when you cage people into a ghetto, deprive them of food, deprive them of medicine, deprive them of water, when you deprive them of work, when you then bomb them and then incinerate them, you spray neighborhoods with white phosphorus, you really don't need Mickey Mouse to teach them to hate Israel.
Professor Finkelstein, I'm sure what you're saying is that Israel can't survive if there's peace. It requires constant fear, this constant threat, in order to gain the support of the United States. And without the support of the United States, there wouldn't be an Israel.
No, I don't think it's true. You know, there have been many militarized states in history, and can't say ours is much of an exception. States which like to create hysterias about various threats in order to militarize society. Ours is not an exception. And there were states which were very militarized, states like Germany from 1871 to the end of the Nazi era. And then they managed to survive very well after the back of German racism and militarism was broken during World War II. So I don't think there's any reason to infer that Israel couldn't exist at peace with its neighbors. There's nothing inevitable about the constant conflicts, though one has to add that there are at this point, deep features in Israeli society such that it will be a very difficult struggle for it to normalize. And the features get uglier as time passes. And it has to be said that those features, those militaristic features, are greatly exacerbated by two factors. Number one, the immunity that Israel has managed to acquire by its exploitation of the Nazi Holocaust. And number two, the absolutely wretched role that has been played by American Jewish organizations in encouraging the ugliest features of Israeli society, and frankly, pointing ultimately to Israel's destruction. That's what they're doing. That's, I think, fairly obvious at this point. The good thing is, and it's hard to speak about anything good coming out of a massacre. I'm a coward by nature. I don't say that in order to get people to deny it, but it's just a fact. And I cling to life and my every breath. So when I see 400 children whose lives have been snuffed out, for what? I can't talk about who won and who lost. That's sort of like maybe military people can do that, but it's not part of my framework, my moral or mental framework. I just see vast destruction and death, at least at the first level. My mind slipped. So I can't say, I won't talk about who won or lost the war, but it is true, I think, that this Gaza massacre will probably be remembered as the equivalent in the Israel-Palestine conflict of the Sharpeville massacre in South Africa. It was a moral turning point. Now, Sharpeville was not yet Soweto, but it marked a main turning point in the world's perception of South Africa. And what happened in Gaza marked a major turning point, I think, in the world's perception of Israel, which has become, frankly, a satanic state. And we should be honest about that. It just is relentlessly embarking on war after war after war. And nobody should be saying that gleefully. It's not a happy thing to behold. But as I said, the silver lining in a very dark cloud, it's clear that even American Jewry, leaving aside Americans writ large, even American Jewry is now beginning to significantly distance itself from Israel, especially in the 40s and under generation, most of you in this room. It was clear during the massacre, for example, on the liberal blogs, the liberal bloggers, the Huffington Post, Salon.com, sentiment was totally against Israel. And as one blogger put it, I think it was Glenn Greenwald or Max Blumenthal, he said the only one now among American Jewry left supporting Israel, he said it's what he called the Geritol generation. Now, most of you who are young in this room won't know what that means. There was a famous medicine in the 1950s called the Geritol, and the commercial went, take Geritol and sleep, sleep, safe and restful, sleep, sleep, sleep. Yeah.
You raised the question of the unity that Israel has had under the word Holocaust, which it seems to me that actually this time around, as you mentioned, that it's actually starting to wear off. I
basically agree with him. The Holocaust card has been exhausted. People are just, rightfully in my opinion, sick and tired of hearing it. It's been just cheapened by overuse. It's the equivalent, the Holocaust is now, it's the equivalent of a shmata. For those of you who don't know Yiddish, shmata means a rag, what you use to dust, clean your car, wipe your hands from the grease. My hands are full of grease, I need a shmata. And that's what the Holocaust is. It's just a shmata.
Just being an American citizen, I just do not understand why our news organizations and our leaders keep saying that Israel is such a good ally of ours. I don't see what the rest of us, American citizens, are getting for our constant support of this hyper-aggressive military government.
Amend that statement by saying Jews and Arabs also are getting very little from what Israel is doing. So we all have, actually I think, as a factual matter and not to be a crowd pleaser, which I'm not by nature, I don't think Israelis gain very much from what Israel does, and it's simply on the path to destruction if it continues on this route. So we all have a common interest in finally settling the conflict.